First of all, we need to know what is genre. Okay, so the word genre comes from different terms. Okay, from French, it means kind or type. Okay, entertainment. So kind of type. When we say type of literary works, it is in French. In English, we say genre, and it can be translated like a horror, romance, science, fictions, and all of them that you have mentioned before. That's good. And uh, some of the characteristics that we analyze on this one is like looking for the plots, the looking for the mood, the climax, the characters, the looking for the resolution. Okay, so in this kind of way we analyze this one. But the two important or the two most important characteristic in here is to analyze if they are fiction or non-fiction works. Okay, let's see. So some of the characteristics that we're going to work with this and genres is poetry, prose, rhythm. Okay, that we're going to be working on this. For example, a main literary genre is poetry. One of the main literary poetry. So all poems share specific characteristics. What are the characteristics of this one? I'm not going to be deeply on the genre because fiction or non-fiction because this is for next Saturday. But the characteristic of these genres, for example, the main characteristic of poetry is written in lines and stanzas. Okay, so we need to know how to analyze stanzas, okay, or lines, and the rhythm and the prose of poetry. And some poems follow strict rules, okay, like at the number and length of lines and stanza. I think that when you were studying literature in your bachelor, you were writing some poems, okay, in order to analyze the stanza or analyzing the counting the word, the concentration, okay, in order to analyze poetry. And in here, so most poetry is abundant in figurative language, the language that is used. So the characteristic of this one of the characteristics that we use, figurative language in poetry. So when we say figurative language, we focus on specific devices. What are the devices that we use? Simile, metaphors, hyperbole, onomatopoeia, alliteration, rhythm, and some other. So in the second module, we're going to analyze what is a simile and how to create or how to analyze a simile, metaphor, hyperbole, all of these characteristics, figurative language, okay, in a poetry. And we're going to analyze them. And of course, when you enjoy poems, okay, when you enjoy poems, when you write poems, okay, you have to take into account this kind of language. Another characteristic is that poetry is usually shorter than other genres, okay? For example, some poems are classified like epic poetry, which is a long narrative. We have some exceptions, long narrative, okay? So, for example, The Beowulf, it's a poem, okay? The Beowulf is a poem. It's a very long poem, but it's interesting, okay? In here, describe heroic people or characters. And some other, some example, John Milton's the epic poem Paradise Lost. I don't know if you have read Paradise Lost or have you watched the movie. That is wonderful. Make on the Satan's fall from the grace and he's following process of revenge. Okay, Paradise Lost. He was basically on the biblical message or passage. Okay, that was written by John Milton's It's a poem. It's a long poem, but interesting. Okay, and then this is some characteristic of this genre. Fiction. Then we have poetry. Let's move to fiction. Okay, poetry, however, is not the only genre. So we use figurative language, but fiction too. Okay, fiction is written in prose that is not real and can also use elaborate figurative language. Okay, fiction is more like structure than poetry. It's more structure and must be written in sentences and paragraph with all the proper punctuation and grammar. So this is the fiction uh, work. Okay, and usually it's broken into chapters. Okay, into minutes or stanzas. Fiction too is based on imagination, so it's a imaginative work. And the subject matter in fiction works can be nearly anything. So fiction can take place in the present day, in the future, in the past, somewhere. Okay, so it is nearly anything. So it can incorporate the most fascinating ideas, and sometimes fiction, or most of the time fiction, sometimes most of the time fictions talks about legend, folks, tales, short stories, and novels. Okay, are basically on fictions. Um, Later, I have a question for you about fiction. No, in here, fiction. For example, the trilogy. I was reminding this. The Hunger Games. I know that some of you read The Hunger Games. This is a novel, 3 books, wonderful books for reading Hunger Games, which describe situations in the present and in the future, okay, and events taken from the past. And we can imagine, okay, that is fiction, okay, imagine different situations in real life. And it works in that way. Okay. The third genre is drama. Now the question is, what is drama? Well, it's a portrayal of fictional or non-fictional events. Now we are going to work with fictional and non-fictional events through the performance of written dialogues, okay, either prose or poetry. I remember when Juan Esprua, who's here, was well, Juan, tell me, you were developing some drama at university at the university for the English week, I think so, and you were participating. This is drama, so making some poetry, some written, some process. Even I don't remember if Jose Manuel was part of the drama too, and this is okay. So when you perform on a stage, okay, a written document. So you are going to perform this one, and the drama is not new. The drama is the oldest um, genre and literature. It comes from Aristotle, okay, that was making dramas all, every time in Rome, okay, and in the Greek time. Two iconic masks of drama is the laughing face and the crying face. Okay, that's that part of drama. So the two faces, and this is laughing and crying faces. Okay, and of course they are the symbol of the ancient Greeks muses. Okay, like Thalia, the muse of comedy, and Melophon, the muse of tragedy. Okay, so Melpomene, that was suffering in the Greek muse. Okay, so this is drama, and different type of drama. We have like a dramatic classify according to the mood, to the tone, and to the action. Okay, instead of the plot. the mood, the tone, and the actions. We have comedy, okay, they're in tone. So comedy are intended to make audience laugh and characters, okay? And comedies are sarcastic in nature. Okay, this is one of the characteristics, sarcastic in nature. And also we have romantic comedies. Okay, romantic comedy or sentiment comedy that work with this. And we have two more type of drama. This is tragedy and first. Okay, type of tragedy. And the last genre is the non-fiction. Okay, we have poetry, fiction, drama, and non-fiction. Non-fiction drama, non-fiction literary work or genre is that regardless of the subject matter has simple goal to provide information. That is non-fiction, that we have documentals on this one. It should be based on facts and conclusion of the author's research or expertise. In here, when you say facts, the chronological tales or bibliographical tales or cultural tales that work with nonfiction. So they work with facts that have happened before. Okay, and in here, the author do not use imagination, just narrate what has happened. Work with the storytelling, trying to describe the situations. So in here we have the four genres, and the type of nonfiction writing. We have some specific details or characteristics that they are written in prose. They are true. Based on facts. It is plot based. Every time when we have a nonfiction writing, it is plot based. It is focused in one character, okay, or different character, but it's focused on character. It has an organized structure of writing system, okay, paragraph. And of course, there are some types like a narrative that we're going to be working on this, memoir, literary criticism, and literary journalism, okay? So we have the type of nonfiction genre. And of course, there are some common type of nonfiction literary in our decade. So some categories of this one. So we can mention some of them, like the origins of these contents in 2020 is very new one by Isabel Wilkerson, okay, in the United States, discrimination in the United States. If you remember what happened last year when a black man was killed by police officers, so it started with this, okay? And this, they were having, it is not a nonfiction literature because they were describing what was happening, okay? And this is very new. So, okay? And then they were working on this one as a literature, okay? And of course, in here narrates the biography, this is autobiography, what happened to him and everything, and to this one. Memories, like Dan's examination of his polished childhood, okay, in 2016, the type of autobiography. And the Odyssey, the Genome Odyssey is a medical mistress and incredible chaos. That are some example of nonfiction categories. Well, this is, I'm not going to be